is Shannon Donamasar, the co-founder of an organization named Faith Foundation, which is a non-profit organization which is based in Shillong, Meghalaya. For the past 7 years, we've been working tirelessly on the prevention of child sexual abuse. During this lockdown, it has caused a lot of challenge for our team to continue the work in reaching out to children and other stakeholders. Thus, we thought that, start with an online series so that everybody can have access to information, to also be able to create, awareness on the issue. In this first video, we have 2 survivors telling their story. Please hear them out, listen to them to understand the issue, to also understand what children go through. At the same time, why there is a need to break the silence surrounding the issue of child sexual abuse.
Hi everyone. I hope and pray that each one of you are safe and at home during these difficult times of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm here today to support and thank Shannon, who's a very dear friend and co-founder of Faith Foundation Shillong, who are doing some amazing work to keep our children safe. They're tirelessly working to prevent child sexual abuse or CSA through education and training. Let me begin by introducing myself. I'm Chavi Davar. I'm a biologist by training. But today I'm here to tell you my story of becoming a personal safety educator and a change maker, dedicating my life to the goal of empowering every child with the knowledge to identify and report abuse at the earliest and to stay safe at all times. My story begins when I was 6. I was abused by the domestic helper of our home. If you ask me how it all began, believe me, I was too small and innocent to remember it, in details at least. For a while, I didn't even understand what was happening. I remember it in bits and pieces. I remember feeling dirty, shameful, feeling the pain. I remember wanting to telling it to my parents but doubting if they would believe me. I remember not knowing what language or words to use to express how I was feeling. Question still remains. Have we really given our children in our society a language to talk about abuse, especially sexual abuse? So for the next 2 years of my life, silence became my only language. I was scared to talk to anyone. But children are born resilient. Their minds are powerful. They forget the traumatic events and leave behind the hurtful memories to go on with life. It was only in 10th grade that we had an expert talking about AIDS and giving us sex education in school that brought back the memories and triggered the memories of the abuse that happened years ago. That was the weakest day of my life. I remember crying to bed for several months after that. The fear of seeing him again resurfaced. Every dark room had him hidden somewhere. Every stranger staring at me on the road had his eyes. I started having sleepless nights and thus started the struggle of my teenage years with anger issues, aggression, emotional dysfunction, anxiety attacks, and thoughts of suicide. I hated the idea of existence in this world, of life, of almost everything around me. I didn't trust anyone for a very long time, and I became overprotective of children around me. This dark shadow, my abuse was, is, and always will be a part of who I am. But it would become a source of the greatest and deepest strengths of my life. That's something I hadn't dreamt of in a million years. But life has its own ways. My life changed when I got in touch with a team working towards prevention of child sexual abuse in Hyderabad. They encouraged me to be a personal safety trainer and use my inherent protectiveness towards young children to empower them. It's been 4 years now. I've empowered 30,000 children with personal safety lessons, with the language to understand safe and unsafe touch, the courage to say no to the perpetrator at first contact, and report it to their trusted adults. They know that we believe them. They know that we stand by them. In addition, I work with parents on how to develop trust and open communication with children and how to identify signs of child sexual abuse and report it. I can't say I've healed completely. I still have my moments of trigger, my moments of darkness. But with every child I empower, a part of me heals. Nothing gives me more happiness than empowering children, seeing those faces filled with trust, filled with courage, makes me stronger. I live for only one mission, that no child has to ever suffer in silence, not knowing why and what is happening, or believing that they are helpless, alone, or trapped. We need to understand that children are impressionable, innocent, and most times they don't understand or have a language to communicate when CSA is happening. And therefore, the most effective intervention starts as early as a child learns to speak and understand sentences. As early as they start understanding other body parts, we as adults must name their private parts for them, make them understand why they are important and the need to keep them safe. As parents and adults in the family, develop an open communication and a bond of love with your children. Raise your children with self-love, right to opinion, respect and self-worth, so they know the difference when someone treats them otherwise. For example, let's say if your child isn't comfortable giving a hug or a kiss to someone, let them have the right to say no. That way, if tomorrow someone is trying to cross the barrier of touch with them and they feel uncomfortable, they can say a powerful no and come and tell you about it. It is important that as a family, you set safety rules and everyone abides to them. Talk to them about their feelings. Always respect feelings of your children. Help build their self-esteem. This will ensure that you are the first one they come to in case anything even begins to happen wrong. The biggest problem I have faced in the last 4 years of my work is the state of denial. No, this doesn't happen in our school. We don't need these sessions. I know my child is safe. Problem is, no one wants to talk about it until it hits close to home, and by then it's too late. Child sexual abuse has short-term effects like feeling alone, feeling guilty, suffering in silence, and having a feeling of being trapped or betrayed, to long-term effects like panic attacks, PTSD, depression, and suicidal tendencies. The survivors have shown to have altered sexual behaviors and or having troubles having intimate relationship with their partners. With such broad and alarming effects of CSA, it becomes our moral responsibility as a community to stand against CSA and to do our parts in stopping the crime as far as we can. And that we can only begin if we all collectively choose to break the silence around it. It is this silence that we have is helping the perpetrator to take advantage of our children. Now let's imagine that something unfortunate has happened and your child tries to talk to you about it. Understand that it has taken absolute courage for the child to come up to you and talk about it. Here are a few things you should do without fail. Believe your child. Trust them. Don't try to brush the event under the carpet just because you think you know the perpetrator well. Remain calm. The last thing a child wants to see is to see you as a parent blame yourself or to go in a state of shock. It's about them, and so you must keep your feelings aside and endorse and respect the feeling of your child. Tell the child that you believe them, make the child feel safe, and ensure that they will never have to face the abuser again. What will happen next should be clear to both to you and your child in terms of the legal proceedings. No matter what, support the child in all ways and get them the psychological help they might need to recover from the trauma. I understand these are difficult times because of the COVID-19 lockdown. I understand you're at home and you have to manage both your work and home. But don't forget, it's difficult for your children too. They aren't getting to meet their friends, their routines are disturbed, and they aren't going to school either. It's affecting their mental health too. Remember to keep them engaged in healthy activities and hobbies. Use this time as a time to connect and strengthen the bond with your child. We must all support each other in these times of difficulty and come out strong. There are disturbing news coming in every day of the increasing number of cases of domestic violence and child abuse due to the lockdown. Let's together ensure that our children are safe at home. I can only urge everyone listening to this to empower children with love and self-respect and with the language to be able to report CSA at the first contact or as soon as they start feeling uncomfortable about anything. They will grow up to be the future of this nation, and the onus of raising them right depends on our shoulders. I also request you all, if you happen to know a survivor of child sexual abuse, be compassionate. Know that they have been fighting a battle, or they might still be fighting one to survive. In the end, I leave you with the mantra we have been listening to social media these days. Social distancing isn't emotional distancing. Stay connected, keep checking on your loved ones, and spread love and positivity around you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shahida Khatun. I am the founder of Safe School Life, a platform dedicated to students' well-being. Our aim is to protect our future generation from any kind of violence, be it physical violence or emotional violence. So not only sensitize students but also sensitize parents and teachers with the related life skills. When I was 5 years old, I used to stay in one of my relatives' house for my schooling. And I faced many types of violence. And that had a serious adverse effect on my mental health. I developed many traumatic features, including emotional numbing. I couldn't understand how to react on different situation, and sometimes I just used to go blackout. Problem is still with me. And from class 2 to class 6, I repeatedly faced sexual molestation from two different people. They were friends. And that time I couldn't understand what is it. What I could understand is something bad is happening me. And I used to feel really humiliated, insulted, but I don't know how to react on that, whom to tell. But day by day, it had impacted on my self-estimation a lot. I have a very low self-estimation that time, and I know it happened to many of us. Almost all of us actually went through this kind of, sexual molestation, sexual violence. But we don't know whom. That time we didn't know how to react or whom to tell. We were not equipped with the right knowledge of bad touch or good touch. So sometimes we feel that it's probably a form of affection. So I don't want that happen to my kids or to my future generations. I want them to empower with the right knowledge, right tool, right language, so that they can report it to uh, to their seniors, to their teachers, to their parents, or whoever they trust. I want parents to know about more about the acts like POCSO Act, what are the rights they have, from where they can report. I want even teachers to know that, so that they can also take the steps, they can also report to the relevant people. Because personal safety education is right now should be mandatory for all children and their parents and their teachers too. That's how we can create a safe environment in home, in school, and in any other areas. Thank you.